decir, ¿sí? De decir con toda la tranquilidad y libertad si podemos realmente o no asumir una responsabilidad como esta. Porque eh, esto, por ejemplo, atrasa los procesos, ¿sí? Entonces, tenemos que seriamente pensar como grupo eh, eso y preguntarle a los compañeros, por ejemplo, se me olvida el nombre. ¿Cómo dijiste? ¿Levi? ¿Cómo se llama?
Elvis? Yeah.
Sí, él, mi- Elvis, sí, Elvis, mirar a Ruda a ver qué pasa, si realmente requiere un tiempo, ¿sí? Más largo para pensar y después vincularse al consejo o definitivamente se le dificulta y no puede porque necesitamos avanzar y otras personas que quizás quieran estar en esta posición, pues eh, llamarlas para que lo hagan. Entonces, no sé, eso es lo que pienso al respecto.
I certainly agree with you, Michael, completely. I think it's a consideration for this group now to determine whether colleagues who have said they're committed but do not seem to be able to make meetings or to contribute to documents or to work that's happening on a repeated basis, whether they should not just step down and leave space for recruitment of 2 new members who would have the time. Hi, Nilam, welcome. Welcome, Nilam. Very glad to have you. Hopefully you can.
Milan, ¿cómo estás?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now? Hi, everyone. I'm good. How are you?
Hola.
Sorry about earlier. I don't know what was the issue with my mic. I was talking and you guys couldn't hear me. So I had to join again.
No worries at all. We were just talking, Nilam, Michael was making, I don't know if you heard him, and making the point because we still have 2 members that said they would come and that haven't come. And it's not, this is a repeated thing as well, not just, in this phase, but before. So the question is, I guess, how can this council move forward if members who have recommitted to be part of this phase are already not able to participate actively in any way or shape, either to the meetings or to the documents that have been that you've been working on?
Yeah.
I think I agree. I totally agree, Michael. I would urge you to, I mean, this is a decision that needs to be taken by the council, but I think at this stage where we're going to be talking about the recruitment of new members, we're talking about this new phase, I would definitely urge you to discuss the implication of having members that have committed not turning up in all kinds of ways, not showing up in person to meetings and not. And I agree with Michael that while there's always things that happen in life, when it's on a repeated basis, it tells you something about the person having other stuff happening in their lives, which means that they cannot prioritize this. And the members, particularly the members who are transitioning and therefore going to help the new members, really have to have the time, the capacity, the commitment to show up in not just at the meeting, but in between to do the work. So I would urge us to put this on the agenda as well of today. We have a big agenda, which I'm going to share now and hand over to you guys. But I agree, Michael. I also think if I can, just as BCN, reflect on something, we should not have to chase everybody to attend meetings or to respond to things. Honestly, once or twice, it's fine, but we shouldn't have to even just confirm a meeting. We shouldn't have to chase everybody. I had to chase not just in the WhatsApp to the group, but on the platform, but also individually. This is really, the members have to take responsibility for themselves. And otherwise, it just sends the wrong message. in terms of commitment and in terms of participation. So I just wanted to share that. Oops, we've lost Neelam again. I think she's got issues with her internet. Okay, hopefully she'll
Maybe when
rejoin.
she joins, she can leave her video off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. All right, I'm just going to share the screen with the agenda and hand it over to you guys. Are you able to see it? Slideshow.
Yeah, thank you. It's visible.
All right. Handing over to you.
Thank you, Florence. Thank you. Thank you also for putting the agenda in order. What we just discussed and what we've been working on. So I think we can get started. I hope Neelam will be able to join us as we continue. So we're just picking up from where we left last time in the last meeting, you know. I don't know, we've done the welcome, I presume, yes. So we just get started with the contents of the agenda, the finalization of the members agreement and the members coordination team. I know Neelam and Florence worked on these two documents and they did share to us to give feedback. Personally, I was able to check through and, you know, give my comments where needs be. So yeah, I don't know do we need to go through the two agreements or we just for members to say if they're in agreement?
I'm just worried that Neelam isn't here, but
Yeah.
I think her internet is but yes, this is the document.
Yeah.
Membership agreement. Go ahead, Grace. I've removed the comments. I've cleaned up.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but ideally it was just pointing out on the members' responsibilities, you know, what they'll be doing. And this is clearly stated in our TOR. And then also members' compensation is also there. You also put the aspect of accountability. And then if members agree to it, they'll read and append their signature onto it. So from my end, I did review and I was okay with it. So I don't know, Michael, are you in agreement with what the membership agreement looks like as of now?
Sí, escucho doble voz de español. No sé si es por un eco que queda, como que se estuvieran hablando dos personas. Sí, sí, estoy de acuerdo. Digamos que este formato responde a lo que previamente hemos hablado como
Sorry,
consejo.
I'm not hearing. Oh, sorry.
¿Todo
Yes,
bien?
I can hear you. Sorry, Anna, I wasn't hearing you before. Go ahead, Michael.
Ok. Sí, este término de referencia, digamos, para reclutamiento de nuevos miembros, responde a lo que hemos hablado previamente, ¿sí? Y a lo que se ha implementado también, digamos, en momentos pasados para reclutarnos a nosotros incluso. Entonces creo que está bien. Yo no tendría otra cosa para agregarle. Solo es iniciar el
Okay.
proceso, ¿sí? Iniciar el proceso.
Sure. Okay, so
Great. And just to add, we will translate it into Spanish, Michael. Neelam just texted to say she's joining.
Yo ya lo tengo en español, creo,
yeah,
pero
just so that.
sí.
Not this one, not the membership agreement. I don't think so. Did we do it in Spanish? Maybe we did. I don't think so yet. Let me check. But we'll do definitely, or at least we will do a formal, now that it's finalized, a formal translation.
Está bien, no hay problema.
Yeah, so I think
Okay.
if the membership agreement, as Michael has said, is okay with it, and all he's waiting is for us to get started in rules. So for membership, I think Lawrence, also from my end, I'm in agreement with what is being provided. There's also the coordinators team agreement form,
Yes.
which
And
yeah.
I am technically challenged just now. Hang on 1 second. I'm trying to put it back on the screen. And not managing. Hang on 1 second. Here we go.
Yeah.
Bear with me. There we go. Here we go.
Yeah, thank you. So this one also outlines now the responsibilities of the coordinators team. And these now will be referring to the 3 out of the 16 will be chosen. And their responsibilities, which is also stated on the TOR. We also have their compensation clearly stated. Then for them, calling for them to be accountable. And I remember here is where I put a comment, Florence, on the fact that if someone is also selected as a coordinator and they're not also being active, as is similar to what we are experiencing right now. If we have a coordinator who is not, taking up their task, what do we do? And I know you responded that it's clearly stated on the TOR we will use the TOR on what membership also states. So yeah, I think that one can still work, what is clearly stated on the TOR in terms of membership. So other coordinators can call the person off based on, them not attending to what they agreed to, they'll be attending to. So yeah. And that's the coordinators agreement.
So I can resolve the comments there.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes, you can. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I think that's it.
Okay. Excellent. Try to do better. Oh, I did it.
Yes. So Michael said he's in agreement with it. I'm also in agreement. So we go to the 3rd agenda. Finalization of the call for new members and establishment of the recruitment process. So the recruitment call.
Perdón, Grace, en el tema de...
Yes.
En el tema del formato de coordinadores, en vista de que no hemos elegido todavía, digamos, quiénes serían los 3 coordinadores, que eso también, digamos, atrasa la toma de decisiones y las actividades que están dispuestas. Creería que, no sé, estoy pensando en términos de cuando se convoca una asamblea, ¿cierto? Entonces, la mitad más 1 siempre, digamos, gana en votación, ¿cierto? Ante la ausencia de los otros miembros. Entonces, como hablábamos al principio, hemos tenido una ausencia en términos de participación en los formatos, en términos de participación en reunión. Pero tenemos 3 miembros que hemos estado activos y esos mismos 3 miembros hacemos parte de las personas que están propuestas para coordinar. Entonces, no sé si tomamos la decisión, ¿sí?, ante la ausencia, o continuamos postergando esta decisión y lo dejamos ahí. Yo propongo que en esta reunión, digamos, ya decidamos que quiénes van a ser los coordinadores para llegar a la reunión de USAID ya con todo eso listo. Y decirle, van a ser estas 3 personas las que coordinan el consejo y vamos a realizar estas actividades a partir de tal fecha. Porque si no vamos a seguir postergando y postergando y postergando porque los otros no pueden participar, etcétera.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Michael. And for sure, it's kind of disappointing, especially from our last call. I remember we had asked each of us to take up a responsibility and work on something. And yeah, I remember like the call for action was meant for Elvis to take it up. I tried to follow with him and I saw like he wasn't responding. There was a lot of delay. So because of time, I thought I should just get started with it. I also remember with the communication strategy, you had been tasked together with Ruth. I don't know how involved she was in that process. So it is really disappointing that people commit, but then they don't, follow up to the task. Yeah. And as you're saying, us not having coordinators in place, is also delaying some of the process and decision making. So yes, I'd agree to what you're suggesting. I'm just not sure if the other members, their opinion, are the 2 members who are not present in today of their opinion. So maybe Nilam, do you have something to add on to that? As Michael is suggesting that the 3 of us have been active to take up the roles of coordinators. Nilam, what do you think?
Sorry, Grace, could you just repeat, please? Sorry, I am facing extreme internet issues today since morning. Could you just repeat the last sentence, please? I really apologize for this.
It's okay, totally fine. I was just asking, Michael is suggesting that the 3 of us who've been active in this group to take up the coordinator's role. So I was asking, what do you think? And he wanted us to do it like as of the end of this meeting. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Michael that yes, everyone is supposed to, provide their inputs, and we were supposed to kind of go through these documents so that we could finalize and we could, take up the recruitment process for the new members. So yeah, I agree with Michael. I think I really don't know what to say, but we can just drop one message in the group and, we can just try to. But I just saw a message from Elvis. He's been trying to join the call for the past 30 minutes, but he's been facing internet issues. So yeah, I don't know what to say about him on this part.
I think
just saw
Elvis has
his
just
message.
joined.
Oh yeah, he has joined. So it's just Ruth who is not here. We can try to figure out like if everything is okay with her, because she's been very active in the calls earlier. She's been participating. So yeah, let's just try to figure out, and let's just find out like if she cannot be for forthcoming meetings, then we will have to kind of like come up with ways so that we can just go on with the process and start rolling out the applications, because we can't just put everything on hold because others are not joining.
Yeah.
Just if I may.
We have
Sorry,
Yes,
go ahead.
please.
Yeah.
no, that is all. Yeah, you can go ahead, Florence.
Thank you, Nilam. Just to say that I've put the decision about the coordination team on the agenda of this meeting. Because I completely agree, it is absolutely important the decision is made on who the coordinators team is, and so that we can move on with the work, because otherwise we just can't make any progress.
Okay.
So I hope we can make a decision at this meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Florence. I see it's also on the number 5. agenda number 5. So Elvis, welcome to this call today. I will just got started with our agenda and have already agreed to the agreement of both members and coordinators. But then as we started, our main concern was on the laxity of both of you, Ruth and yourself, whereby you have not been forthcoming in terms of taking up tasks that we had agreed in the past meetings, which is really disappointing. And the fact that someone has to follow to ensure that you even commit for a meeting or, you know, attend a meeting is disappointing. And as Michael said, we all have our busy schedules, we all have a busy life and a work life. But then it is for you to decide that do you see the council as something you ought to continue with? That ought to be decided, because the fact that you have not been forthcoming is delaying some of the process. So if we decide you have a busy schedule, you can opt to step down, and then we have other members to take your place. So that is another item that we had started with, and we were thinking through it. So yeah.
Hello, please.
Elvis, I don't know if you have anything to put across.
I don't know if you can hear me. Hello, this.
We can hear you, Elvis, but have you chosen the language channel? Make sure to choose English.
This is Elvis. I don't know if you can hear me.
Elvis, make sure to go into the language channel. Has he dropped out? I think he may have dropped out. I'm not seeing him anymore. Is he still here?
If he's on his Elvis, if you're on your phone,
Yeah,
you have to.
I don't know
You have
if
to
you
swipe.
can hear me.
Oh, there we go. I think Elvis, you're in the right channel now. We can hear you. Can you speak again for Elvis?
Elvis?
Please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
Yes, please, can you hear me? Okay, thanks. I've really been struggling with the network. Grace, please, I couldn't get I was getting you, but at some point it was breaking. I don't know. I never got the last things you said.
Okay. I'm not even sure. I spoke a lot of words. Anyway. So Elvis, you were just saying that we got started.
Okay,
Elvis,
yeah, go ahead.
are you on the right channel? Have you selected English? Because we also have difficulty hearing you.
Yes, I've selected English.
Okay, so it's a phone coming. Yeah.
Yeah, so Elvis, as I was saying, we were just concerned with your inactiveness, and whereby someone has to follow up with the agreed activities. So we were wondering if you are still committed to this council, you'd like to continue, or you'd want to drop it and you leave the space for someone else who can actively participate in the activities. Yeah, so I don't know what your thoughts are into it here.
Yes, I wish to sincerely apologize that you're quite right about the fact that I've been inactive, and especially the last meeting you stayed in breaking. Please, we had a general network problem. I don't know if you were seen in the news, but it affected the entire Central and West Africa. So we stay sometimes for close to 2 weeks access to connection. We received a general information from our Ministry of Communication and a change in the government network in that regard. So we are hoping that things will be fine. My challenge has been the aspect of network. Sometimes I go completely out of connection. We don't have connection except maybe specific ministries. And then at another point, we do not know, because we read, sometimes you get lots and lots of information and people say it has something to do. Those were the challenges which we have. But we received information 3 days ago that we will get some fair stability in that. So we are hoping that it will be quite okay. So I really apologize for those challenges, for my absence and inactivity, but I would really step up as soon as we are certain with these network connections. I think that's it from my end.
Okay, and I think maybe as a follow-up is that the fact that you knew of the problem, it is good to take ownership of, just communicating, because your task and the aspect of communicating, and most of us did not know of that. So it would be prudent in, you sending a message to the rest of the team for us to know that for sure you're experiencing this problem and you may not be able to, and reassign your task to someone else. Yeah. Anyways, so on to the third agenda was on the finalization of the call for new members and establishment of recruitment process. So I did draft the call, and I welcomed people to give input, especially because I tried to use AI to help me with this. So most of the wordings and everything in here might not be reflecting onto us, and that's why I invited inputs. And thank you, Florence. I saw your input in it, and yeah. So I don't know how many have been able to go through this call, and any additions or anything that you see is missing from the call, so that you're able to pick it up.
So what's the process to finalizing, Grace? Can we ask members whether they have further comments, they've reviewed it as you have just done, and then just agree to move, or?
Yeah, I think we just ask if someone has further comments so that we add them, because this is what also will delay us to recruit. The longer the process of, sharing this information, then it takes longer, and the recruitment process also will take longer. So I don't know what members think of our next steps.
Yeah, I went through this document, so for me it seems to be fine. We can go ahead with this. Yeah. And also the documents that Florence and I prepared together, I think we are going to review that too, and then we can just proceed further.
We just did that, Nilam, at the start of the meeting. Unfortunately, when your
Oh.
internet and the members agreed, so they've been agreed.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you, Florence.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nilam, for that. I think for me, the only bit that I wanted us to think through was on the last part of application process, thinking through how they'll be making the submission. I saw your comment, Florence, of us having around like a few questions to ensure they meet the criteria. And then after that, if they meet, they can now be able to submit their documents. So thinking through us having a form that they're able to submit, and then from the back end, we can be able to manage. So that was my only concern, other than us sharing our email information where they'll be sending the form or their details, their documents to. I don't know what people think about that, the process of submission.
There's a couple of ways of doing that, Grace. One, which is to ask, when we ask them to write an application, to tell them these are the 2 or 3 questions that you need to address, or the information provide, or we could use a form, as you suggest. Both are feasible.
I think the process that we followed for our applications, remember, Grace, when we applied, I think that seemed to be the perfect one. We can go with that. We can just give them a platform wherein they would have like certain questions that they need to answer, and they can then just submit the application. That seems to be the most appropriate and streamlined way to apply for the position, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Now
remember
that,
which platform was used, Nilam? Sorry. Do you remember which platform was used?
We were using the youth something, remember? But it was youth.
Yeah, but
we had-
which software they were using?
It wasn't, when I say a software, like, so we received this link. We just had to
Link,
click
yeah.
on the link and it will take you to the internet, and the
Yeah.
website will come up, and you just have to click on, you just have to fill in your application and then just submit. So when I say platform, like you would have a link, click on
Yeah.
that, it will take you to internet, and then you can fill the application from there.
Okay. It might be like a
Yeah.
Google form kind of thing. So we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I was trying to think maybe now if we are in agreement with that, how do we go about it? Creating the form itself and then having people to receive, the backend information. I don't know, Florence, if you have any information with this, or you have a platform that can assist us with that.
I think it sounds like a Google form, to be honest, and we can be exported. I remember I've seen the applications from that was done for the council, and so I remember seeing the results of that. But I think we can definitely work with you to develop that. The main question would be just to be clear what questions we want them to respond. So making sure that as part of this question, we make sure that I would suggest, of course, first of all, that they fit the criteria. So asking them about that to make sure they fulfill the criteria of membership. And then secondly, something which is more about trying to explore their strategic thinking, their creativity, their as well as their experience would be my suggestion. Because you're going to potentially have a number of applicants with a lot of interesting skills, and you want to be able to determine which one would contribute more to the council.
Sure. Okay. So in terms of the questions, do we agree on the questions right now, or because you've mentioned about the criteria, that one is already provided on the TOR, a few of the questions, we can get them there. Out of the strategic and creativity or their past experiences, those ones, do we create some of these questions and then send to the team to review, or how do we go about that?
I think we could do this together, like not necessarily now, but we can identify that. Margot and I can work with you on developing a Google form and then quickly bring that back to you and agree on the question. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense. Thank you.
To find out
So I think I can take leadership on that to ensure that the application platform is ready. I'll be following up with you, Florence and Margot, on this, and then with the team is for us to see through the questions that have been generated and then see some few tweaks where we want to give input. And maybe I'd want to call on us. I'll share it on WhatsApp and other platforms.
Yeah. Elvis, if you can hear me, can you mute for a little while? Grace is speaking and we can't hear us. We can't hear her.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I was saying I will take leadership on that task and then work together with Margot and Florence to ensure that you have the platform in place where people will submit their applications. But I'd call on members after sending the link. I'll just give, because of time, please allow me to give a short time for us to review the questions, so that we get started. And with the deadline that I'll provide for us to give inputs and return as soon as you can, so that we also keep moving with the process. So that's done in terms of the platform to apply. So also maybe to call on us on the application form, the call, if also you have any inputs on it, please add add your comments also as soon as possible before we finalize also with our platform. So that's the other thing. Now that we're also speaking about the application call, I thought of now the whole recruitment process. So we have already talked of the platform of where they'll apply. Do we think through the timeline of when to send the call and how long that will be? You know, how long should we send that call? What timeline do we foresee for us to give people to apply?
I'll propose 2
Any
weeks.
feedback?
I'll propose 2 weeks after the call for application is launched.
Hi guys, am I speaking to myself?
Elvis, did you hear Elvis just now? Grace? Grace, did you hear Elvis just now? He proposed 2 weeks.
I didn't hear him, but that's okay. Okay.
Yeah, his voice is a bit faint, but he proposed 2 weeks.
Okay.
Nilam, I think you were speaking.
So 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was just about to say something similar. Like we can give like 15-20 days. Yeah, 15-20 days would be the valid and sufficient time to apply for the role. Yeah.
Okay, 3 weeks. Okay,
No,
you're
no,
just
no,
in line with
forget it. I
Elvis.
proposed
He also
3
said
weeks.
3 weeks, so 15 to 20 days. So when the call will be published, at least we'll have a deadline of we need to update that for them to send the application 3 weeks until the date that we have already sent. That's okay. Beyond timeline, I'm trying to see of the process. After receiving the application, I presume maybe, I don't know who will take up also the role of, reviewing the applications and seeing who's qualified, and then the whole interview process. Yes. Any thoughts on that? Which come first?
Can I suggest something?
Yes, please.
In terms of the process, I would suggest that the coordination team is on the panel. If I remember well, I might be wrong on this, but if I remember well, a member of the advisory group as well, in the terms of reference, it says something about that.
Yeah.
As well on the panel. I think it's in part of the terms of reference. I don't remember exactly. And that we're going to need to have a clear time frame again and criteria for determining the selection process. So generally what we do is we use a grid that enable us to identify, first of all, that they've met the criteria, that their answers, and then that, that provides some way of evaluating the response and determine giving points basically based on those criteria, which enables then the recruitment team to determine the selection. So we would just develop one of those, I forget the name actually what it's called, but we would develop the criteria and the points for assessing the application and making a decision. But that would be the recruitment team. So it would be the coordinators team plus one person from the advisory group, if that's what it says in the terms of reference. That would be my suggestion.
Okay. Thank you for that. So that we know that in terms of reviewing the application, that one will be catered for, Now in terms of the interviews and the panelists, I also know we had suggested also on the TOR on who to be invited on the panelists. So there's that, and then thinking through the timeline of when interviews should happen and availability of the different panelists. So ideally, after how long do we foresee this whole process? You know, we have sent a call for a maximum of 20 days. We have received application. So reviewing application, how long do we suggest is to take? Let me just check on the chat. Oh yeah. In terms of application language, I think we'd also consider the ones from Spanish-speaking countries. So definitely, the application should not be submitted in English, but also I'll give provision for another language. Yeah. I see there's another comment of Elvis, you're suggesting a month. So a month of reviewing the applications. From my end, I feel like a month is a lot of time, because this is just reviewing and we haven't conducted the interviews. So I don't know, do we give it also less than a month? Especially that now Florence has said they'll create a grid to evaluate the responses. So I presume it will, some of the, like we'll have a sheet to ensure we are able to check what they're provided. So I don't know if 2-3 weeks, what do people think? The timeline of reviewing applications.
Two weeks are okay, Grace.
Okay. Yeah. 2 weeks for reviewing the application. And so that one will be ideally, if we go with 20 days, that's around let's just work with 3 weeks for calling for the call, 3 weeks for the call, and then 2 weeks reviewing the application. So that's already a month and 1 week for us in the process of application. And so we also ought to plan for the interviews. So the interviews also will ideally fall maybe a week or 2 after finalization of the application. So by this, I think it means that ideally for us to have new members, it will take a month and a half or 2 months at most for us to have new members in the council. Or what do people think? Or has my math not been able to come to this? Is that so?
We are dedicating 3 weeks to submit the application, then 2 weeks to review the application, and then what did you say after that? 3 weeks to conduct the interviews? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, yeah, we can just consider like 1.5 or 2 months just to complete the whole process from application till conducting the interviews and finalizing the members for the committee. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it is going to take at least that much time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ideally around 2 months at most. Okay.
I think I think it is going to take 2 months, and
Yeah.
but what I would recommend is that the council and the coordination team in particular take the time during that period to work on key aspects of getting the council up and going, such as the communication strategy, but also potentially some other aspects, such as the development of the of the process to determine the ways of working, ethical principle, and so on, so that we don't spend another 2+ months just talking about how this council is going to work, but that it really starts working.
Yeah.
That would be my proposal, because otherwise it's going to be basically another half a year just spent on how to get this council working, which is important because it's gone through a big transition. But we also need to be able to kind of get, I mean, for all of you as well, to be able to get on with the work, as Michael pointed out earlier. So I would recommend that you identify key aspects of the work that the current team can take forward as it's moving towards the recruitment. At the
Yeah,
same
sure. Sure, Florence. And I think I wanted us to just have the picture of, of what it takes for us to have the timeline it will take for us to have new members on board. So it's ideally like 2 months. So the more we delay the process of, sharing the call, the longer it takes for bringing people on board, and the longer it takes for us even to get started. So this is still my appeal, kindly, if we have been tasked with something, give it you all, to commit, because we had dedicated to ensure that within this 1 year that you're currently now serving, we're able to push the council to another level. So it's my call that my plea that now that we know for the call it will take 2 months, so for us to just dedicate our all. If you've been tasked with something, just dedicate it and work on it so that we are able to move. And I like the idea that you mentioned, Florence, that within these 2 months, now as the current members of the council, we can get started with other tasks, so that when new members come on board, they have policies in place, the process is already determined. Yes. Okay. So I don't know what I missed on the process. Is that all that we ought to think through in terms of bringing new members? Because as we have talked of the timelines, the call itself, the interviews, the platform of receiving the application. Is there any idea that I missed in terms of bringing people on board on the agenda 3?
Listo, Andrés, gracias. Yo creo que sí, lo que plantean, claro, los actores principales aquí son los adolescentes y jóvenes, y creo que no sé si lo escuché cuál va a ser la metodología que van a implementar, pero creo que la metodología ya fue participativa.
Okay.
Michael, can you hear us? Michael. Maybe, Grace, you can move forwards while we wait for Michael to sort out his sound issue.
Hola, hola,
Yeah,
hola.
yeah, sure.
He estado intentando hablar desde hace rato, pero no sé, no me escuchaban o no sé qué pasó. No, yo estoy de acuerdo, digamos, con lo que han estado planteando, ¿sí? Y quería decir en la parte de comunicación, sí, la parte de comunicación, digamos que la persona que propuse para hacer este trabajo, que ustedes ya leyeron la propuesta de él, ¿cierto? Es una propuesta muy completa y además muy económica también, ¿cierto? Entendiendo lo que significa toda una estrategia de comunicación para una organización. Y hay un plus, es que esta persona es un líder de cuidado, ¿sí? Es un líder de cuidado. Él es cofundador también de la red en Colombia, ¿sí? Él vivió también en un centro de protección durante muchos años, estudió comunicación social y periodismo, y pues su enfoque siempre ha sido social, y fundó una agencia de comunicación precisamente para trabajar eh, con diferentes organizaciones en el tema de diseño de estrategias de comunicación desde un enfoque social. Hablando con Florence, pues digamos, una de las necesidades puntuales, y es que es el tema del inglés, ¿sí? Como siempre, el tema del inglés, y pues él no es una persona, eh, digamos, que hable inglés, y quizás eso puede perjudicar un poco y el diseño, pero también se puede conseguir una persona, él, que haga las traducciones, digamos, y presentar el trabajo. Eso no habría ningún problema. Entonces, él está esperando a ver que de acá se tome la decisión si se continúa el trabajo o no se continúa, o si miramos otra opción. No sé, Florence, si tú hablaste con Usaid al respecto, o qué decisión vamos a tomar frente a esta estrategia de comunicación, que es muy importante para los otros procesos, para, digamos, hacer la convocatoria, ¿sí?, a los chicos, y empezar a crear todas nuestras plataformas, ¿cierto?, etcétera. Eso es un punto importante.
Yeah, sure. I think Michael was talking of the communication strategy, and was also thinking through maybe as one of the tasks. Florence, I know you'll come after this to respond to what Michael had asked. Considering the fact that with the call, I don't know how, when we distribute it, do we intend to have, because at first you were talking of having the communication strategy in place so that you're able to share the call. So I don't know if Michael can also confirm how long this provider will be able to work on the aspect. Will it be fit within our timeline so that when we're releasing the call, the comm strategy is also in place and we have some of the basic concepts in place to distribute the call from? Yeah, Florence.
Just to say, and Michael can come in, I don't think it's realistic.
Can you check the chat, because I have a serious issue with speaking to. I sent a message in the chat. Just kindly check it.
Yes, I'm seeing your message, Elvis. I don't think anyone is suggesting that French would not also be a possibility in terms of languages for members of the council. So you're right that the application also needs to be translated into French. The question is, does it need to be translated into other languages? And then also the council has to consider the cost implication there. But I think having French as a language is going to be critical, you're right, for the participation of many countries. But just going back to this question that we're discussing around the communication strategy, there are two aspects. Yeah, if I understand well, one which is whether we need to have the CLC communication strategy in order to issue the call, if I understand the question, Grace. And I would raise serious concern about that, because I don't think there is time for postponing, for having the communication strategy in place before you issue the call. I think it's going to delay further what is critical for this council to move forward. That's my personal opinion, because you've already identified about 2 months just to do this, and that's if we really get going now. But if we also have to wait for a communication strategy, that's going to delay this further. The but I do agree clearly that you need a communication strategy for the council. That's clear. And I have said to Michael that in principle, we have the funding for this, and there's no issue. The only question that I raised for the council to consider is language, because communication strategy is going to need to be in multiple language, but the primary language that that members have in common is English. And with communication and branding, making sure that that language is very important. So making sure that whoever develops the strategy is able to really understand and have the capacity to develop it effectively in English is going to be key. It's one aspect, it's an important one, it's one aspect, so I'm not judging as to whether that would necessarily stop the proposal for the consultant that Michael has proposed. I've said to him, I think it's a decision for the council. But it's important to also for the council to consider cost, because anything we do that gets translated into multiple language that requires interpretation has significant costs. Now, it's costs that at the moment we're bearing, but it really is important that any decision to do this is considered, because these costs are very significant, they're considerable. So that's just something for the council to think through. So I think there are two things, if I summarize this properly. One, which is, do we wait for the communication strategy to be in place before we can issue the call for members, for new members? And number two, do we move forward with Michael's proposal? I think having somebody who, of course, a communication strategist with who is also care experience is a major plus, for sure. Absolutely. Language is just a consideration that's also quite important to think through. So I think it's important for the council to discuss this and consider the options and make a decision.
Yeah. So maybe we start with the first one. Like we've seen in terms of timelines, if we wait for us to send the call when the communication strategy is ready, it will take us extra months. So it's for us members to agree that we send the call anyways without having the strategy in place as of now, because of the timeline. So is there anyone not in agreement with that?
No, I agree with you, Grace.
Okay, and so if that's the case, I know Florence using BCN platform would be able to spread the word using BCN platform, and then for most of us connected to our own networks, we can share it with the regional networks within our place, and then that will ensure the call has been sent to quite a number of people who will be able to receive it. Okay. So on to the second question, still on the communication strategy. Do we proceed with what the proposal that Michael had already shared, which I think the good thing is that they also translated in English so that we are able to read through. And I also saw on the aspect of developing this proposal, they'll have some few sessions with us, they'll have the developmental phases where we have to give feedback, consultation with the providers. So there's also that aspect that I wanted members to know, we'd commit to that. So what do people think for us moving with the proposal that Michael had shared, or do we have any other proposal?
Ahí, digamos, me gustaría decir algo. El único canal de convocatoria va a ser el que existe, porque no todos las redes o grupos de jóvenes tienen acceso, digamos, a esta plataforma. Entonces, ¿qué otros medios de comunicación vamos a utilizar para hacer esto? para hacer el llamado.
Can I just clarify? Because when we talk about disseminating the call, as Grace said, it's going to be disseminated by you through your own platform, through your own network, through your own social media. So it's not just going to be disseminated by BCN or by USAID. It's going to be disseminated, multiplied by all of you. Is that the question, Michael?
Ok, ya. Entonces, para eso vamos a necesitar una pieza, digamos, o un post gráfico que lleve un link que redirija a estos grupos poblacionales que quieren hacer parte del consejo, o solamente vamos a mandar un formato Google, un Google Form, y que ellos entren ahí, diligencien, digamos, las preguntas o etcétera.
So for the application process, I think what we discussed is some kind of a link, which will go to this team, to the coordinators team, to receive the information. But the actual dissemination document, the call, can be shared through any platform. It's just that the information, the application need to go into one place, yeah?
Yeah.
And of course, the call has to be translated into multiple languages, which also requires both time and money to get those done.
Yeah.
Sí, sí.
I'm also
Sí,
trying
no,
to
yo
think
entiendo
through,
eso, Florence. Digamos que
mm,
lo que digo es, en ese formato que compartamos, digamos, estoy hablando más de un tema como que estético, ¿sí? Un tema como para que reconozcan, digamos, el consejo. Vamos a colocar imágenes, ¿sí? Fotos para que sea visible quienes hacen parte del consejo, como cuando uno comparte un Google Form, entonces hay una imagen ahí, porque casi todo entra visualmente, entonces para que todos esos chicos vayan reconociendo, ¿sí? Quiénes somos además. Y claro, abajo irían las preguntas en los diferentes idiomas y en las diferentes plataformas lo compartiríamos. Es algo sencillo, pero es importante a la vez. Digamos que estos pequeños detalles importan siempre. Solo es eso lo que pregunto, nada más.
I agree, Michael. I think that's where having some design, for the call would be really important. I just think that having the design and having that, my question is, can we have that done with the consultant, for example, without having a full communication strategy done? You know, with necessarily logos and stuff like that, because the more things we have to determine before we can send the call, the longer it's going to take. So, but I agree, having some design for the call that highlight potentially the current members clearly is exciting for care experience leaders to want to join is going to be really important. So I agree that's important.
okay. And so, Florence, you're suggesting that the person we agree to take up the communication strategy, their first task will be for them to design the call, right? Yeah.
That would make sense to me. That, and Michael, is that responding to your question? Is that what you were thinking?
Mhm.
Sí, no, y eso no es difícil. Incluso yo mismo puedo tomar una de las fotos del encuentro de Nairobi, que pido por favor me las compartan porque se me perdió. Florence, si tienes esas fotos, por favor. Se selecciona una foto y se pone en el Google Form y se pone, digamos, las
Got it, yeah.
preguntas y se hace el link, o sea, eso no es difícil. Eso se puede hacer sin tener una estrategia de comunicación, ahí no hay ningún problema. Entonces, bien, ¿no? Entonces
Okay.
vamos a hacerle. Lo de la coordinación, no
Thank you,
sé
Michael.
describir.
So
No, y lo de la coordinación, que
mhm.
no se ha decidido todavía.
No, it's the next agenda.
Okay.
So from the fourth agenda, we have agreed on the communication strategy. We haven't agreed on who will actually be developing the communication strategy. But from the last agreement that Michael will design what we have as the call and make it more attractive, appealing, so that when we share, it has more information and the link where people can actually send their application. So in terms of now, the question of do we move forward with what Michael proposes, what I needed feedback on, or do we have another provider that we have in mind? What do members think? As from my end, I am okay with Michael's proposal.
Grace, can you, if you don't mind, can you just repeat Michael's proposal? Actually, I lost the connection and I rejoined just
Anybody?
now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Nilam.
Yeah, so are we talking about developing the communication strategy, which, like, do we have something in place or we need to do it from scratch? Yeah, this is what I wanted to know.
So there's a document here,
Okay.
which Michael has put in some of the key steps, and there's also a proposal, and Michael and Grace commented on, and there's also a proposal by Michael, as he mentioned. He has identified a communication expert that is also care experience, and that has, you know, given a short proposal to actually develop some of this work.
Okay.
And the question is, do we go forward with this? But we also just discussed that maybe the first step to that is the design of the call, first of all, and that should be the priority so that the call can go out. Is that a good summary, Grace?
Yeah,
Michael?
it is. It is. Yeah, sure. I don't know why I wasn't able to hear Nilam.
Oh, that's a problem. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not sure. Maybe you're in the English channel, aren't you, Grace? Because I hear you well.
Yeah.
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 Not sure what's going on.
Okay.
So just so we can move forward, can we
Yeah.
agree, as you said, Grace, we agree that the first is going to be the development of the call, including the communication aspect of the call, making it
Yeah.
exciting, making it. And Michael, you're going to be taking a lead. I think if Michael, you want to work with the communication expert to do that, we would definitely support that. The only question we would have is to make sure that we need to have, if we're going to have to translate everything, it's going to be adding additional costs too. So if everything gets developed into Spanish, it's going to be adding, and if we do a consultation around that, it's going to be adding, you know, additional costs. So just to be clear that for the call, maybe we can start with the call first, the branding of the call or the the visibility, the I don't know what the right term is, the designing of the call. And then in terms of moving forward with a broader strategy, I mean, we could decide to move forward with the colleague you've identified. But it's just that we need to take into consideration the translation cost in addition to the cost of the designer.
Florence, is it not possible for the designer to share final product in different translation, like in English and in Spanish? Okay.
I don't know that.
Yeah, because I think what Michael shared, I read it in English, so I didn't know who translated. Yeah.
I think it was translated by Michael, the designer. Michael, can you hear us?
Sí, él lo tradujo. Precisamente el valor del
Okay.
costo lo elevó por la traducción al inglés, porque él inicialmente lo compartió en español. Entonces él puede conseguir una persona que le ayude a traducir al inglés. Ya aquí pasa algo. Digamos que desde acá yo puedo
Awesome.
liderar
Okay.
este tema de comunicación porque yo estoy cercano a él y lo conozco y vive en Colombia y vive en la misma ciudad que yo vivo, entonces es mucho más fácil hacerle seguimiento, digamos, a todo el diseño. También él puede ir haciendo todas estas tareas que necesitamos puntualmente. Por ejemplo, él puede hacer el formato que necesitamos para hacer la convocatoria, pero alternativamente puede ir trabajando el diseño, ¿sí?, de toda la estrategia. Eso ya depende de lo que nosotros le vayamos solicitando en el camino y así mismo digamos, nos va respondiendo. Entonces, eso se puede hacer, ¿sí? Y esto que ustedes ven aquí en pantalla, esto yo lo traduje con DeepL, por ejemplo, que es un muy buen traductor y ustedes entienden lo que dice ahí muy bien, ¿sí? Por ejemplo, hoy en día las plataformas digitales o la inteligencia artificial nos facilitan mucho temas de traducción, por ejemplo, y lo hacen muy bien, a diferencia de Google Translator que sí traduce un poco mal, pero esto traduce muy bien, ¿sí? Entonces, hay alternativas para ello.
Okay.
I think that's definitely true, Michael, but when it comes to messaging, even DeepL needs to be checked. And I think I agree with you. I think that the AI translation tools are getting a lot better, but they definitely have issues. I'm multilingual, and so I often compare different languages, and they including French, and I can tell you it's not fully reliable. So it would still require checking by a professional translator. But I agree with you. It's a lot better. So the one question I had with the commission chart, it talks about, for example, sharing success stories and case studies. All of that, the council really may not be ready to do at this stage. So maybe my worry is the time frame again. Like if the focus is on getting the call out and having that design and laid out and having a strategy for dissemination of the call, I think that makes a lot of sense. But to further communication work at this stage for the council, when the council is really just beginning in this new phase, I think that's going to require a lot more time. That would be my concern.
Yo propongo temas, digamos, de tiempo. En temas de tiempo, para esta convocatoria propongo 3 momentos, ¿sí? El primero, bueno, ¿cuánto tiempo vamos a ocupar en esta convocatoria? Yo sugiero que para la inscripción a esto, dejemos 3 semanas, podría ser, no sé, ya ustedes también dirían si está bien o no. 3 semanas digamos, una convocatoria abierta para inscribirse, ¿cierto? Después de la inscripción y todos los inscritos, hacemos una preselección, ¿sí? Desde las respuestas que ellos den. Luego de esa preselección, convocamos, ¿sí?, a esos preseleccionados a una entrevista virtual, ¿sí?, para hablar con ellos. Después de tener esa entrevista virtual con ellos, tomamos una decisión como consejo de quienes, digamos, pasaron la etapa final para ser miembros del consejo. Y finalmente le hacemos una bienvenida formal al consejo, explicándole en qué consiste, digamos, toda la estructura y lo que ellos las tareas que van a cumplir dentro del consejo. Creo que podrían ser esas 3 etapas, y esas 3 etapas las podemos cumplir en un mes y medio, más o menos, para tener temas de cronogramas y tiempos establecidos para la convocatoria, preselección y selección definitiva.
Yeah, I think, Michael, we had already agreed on the timelines of, sending the call and the screening process and the interview process. And we had given ourselves at most 2 months, because if we send the call out, we were hoping that in 3 weeks people will send the application, and then 2 weeks we have the coordinators team review. So ideally it will be like 2 months. The whole have 2 months until we have new members. So that we had already worked on. So what we're just thinking through is now the communication strategy can be developed also along this timeline of the 2 months. So if we agree, they will work within a timeline of the 2 months when we have already sent the call. So the call should be designed way earlier, and then the other communication strategy to be sent a little bit later. I'm just looking at Florence. There was also the proposal that Michael had sent, because this was a draft. What is on screen right now is a draft of what we had worked on. But there's a proposal of what they had sent, and then there was also the materials they'll provide,
This is it, yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is it. Because with this, I think there was, on the aspect of developmental of the proposal, we conclude the following material. So they'll give us a logo, and then we'll have visual identity elements. I don't know what that, and then the manual in both Spanish and English, institutional presentation, a letterhead, and then graphic pieces of a social media platform. So my question is that, is this all we need for the next engagement? My apologies, I'm not so good with the communication strategies and everything. So I invite members also to think through what else is missing or what to be added with this proposal, Yeah. And I'm also cognizant.
En el tema
Today's
de
call was
estrategia
supposed to be an hour and a half, Lawrence.
Yeah, I think we're not going to finish. So I'm hoping Anna and Nora are okay if we go a bit beyond.
Okay.
I had discussed with them the possibility, but I really would like to get this decision. Our next meeting is with the team at USAID, and we need to be able to, the council needs to be able to kind of communicate where it is and what's happening.
Sure. Yeah, so what do people think of the proposal that Michael had shared? What inputs do we have so that we get moving?
So can I just say from our perspective, and what I've said to Michael, we're ready to go ahead with this proposal. The only concern again was the language.
Yeah.
And the fact that in terms of the only thing that we may have to check, and I needed to get the council to agree, first of all, whether to move forward with this proposal, is whether there's any requirement in terms of USAID funding in terms of the selection of the consultant, because this is a consultant that hasn't got experience in developing communication strategy in English before. Normally what you do when you select a vendor is you go through and you ask a number of proposals and then you select them based on the proposal. Because the cost of the proposal is reasonable and below a certain level, we might be able to just move forward. But that's something to consider. So if the council members are happy to go forward on the basis of that one proposal, we can check the USAID requirements and that they're okay to move forward with this.
Okay. Okay. So I think
Okay.
members, your silence might mean you're okay with that proposal. Maybe just to task Florence to go ahead and check with USAID in terms if the vendor is, meeting the criteria of the USAID, vendor requirement. And then Florence, you can get back to Michael and he gets started with the communication strategy.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's the decision,
Okay.
we can move forward.
Yeah. Unless anyone has anything to add, please leave it on the chat. So we proceed to the next agenda. I think the next was on the coordination team.
Oops.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's on the coordination team. Because agenda 4, we've been able to
Yes.
discuss the communication strategy and the proposed consultant. Yeah. So is there anyone speaking? I'm not able to.
No, no one is speaking, no.
Okay.
But I'm hearing Nora in the English channel. I'm hearing Nora speaking.
Spanish. Yeah. Yeah. So about the 5th agenda on our coordination team. So we need to finalize on who will be the members of the coordination team. Michael had suggested the 3 active members who've been currently participating. So at Elvis, I know you were not in the beginning of the call, where Michael had suggested that for the coordinators team, for us to go ahead and retain the 3 active members who've been, active in most of the activities to take up the coordinators team. So I don't know what you think about it, Elvis.
That's
And
quite
that
okay
is
for my
Michael,
end.
Nilam, and myself.
Yeah, Grace, that's quite okay from my end.
Did you hear him, Grace?
No.
That is so weird. Sorry, we're having some technical issues. So Elvis said it was quite okay on his hand. Elvis, maybe you can type. I don't know why. I think you're hearing other people though. Are you, Grace, when they speak?
Yeah, I can hear him. He's
Okay.
okay with the decision, Grace.
Okay.
So just to
Yeah.
confirm, Michael, Nilam, and Grace are the 3 team coordinator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So that's sorted. That's agreed on. Agenda 5 is agreed on. So agenda 6 was on finalization of the Spanish translation of the CLC TOR. Florence, do you want to speak on this?
Yeah, that's been done with the help of Michael, who reviewed the translation. Michael, you're happy with the final version, yeah?
Sí, sí, está bien.
Okay,
Está bien.
great. So that's done, and we will also get it translated into French. And we may have to think of other languages as well, particularly as the terms of reference is going to be critical for the call from members to be able to access that.
Okay. There's also now agenda 7 on planning on meeting with the USAID team. I know, Florence, you had shared with us the available dates when the USAID team will be available, and we had suggested a date and committed our availability. So I don't know if it has changed or, yeah.
Nope, it still is. I'm just checking. I think it's the 14th, isn't it? I think it's the 14th. Yeah, and they are ready to come. It's the 14th. I think it's the 14th. Sorry, I can't check my screen. Margot, can you check? It's the 14th, I think, isn't it? I
Creo
can't.
que es el 16, 15.
Or is it the 17th? Sorry.
No, yeah, 15th.
Yes, the
15th.
16th, Tuesday the 16th.
Was it
Sorry,
on Tuesday or Monday? Okay.
It's Tuesday the 16th from 9 to 11. We scheduled 2 hours.
Okay.
So that is scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both Severine and Nikki are planning to be there.
Okay.
So just to, I think we need to, might not be able to do it today clearly, but to be thinking through ahead how you want to organize that call. And what do you want to share, who is going to be sharing it, etc.
Sure. So I'm thinking now with the coordinators team, we can task them on that. Mostly it will be on the progress of what we have achieved so far, what we've been able to come up with so far from our last call in December, share the progress, but then who to do what, we'll talk it through with the coordinators team. And then pin you also on the loop, keep you on the loop, Florence, about that. Yeah.
Thank you, Grace. Perfect.
Okay. Was that all on the agenda? Or
logistic and admin, if I can, a couple of things. One, and I was having this discussion as well with Nilam as we were working on the members agreement. Margot had also spent a bit of time with Michael to show him how to use the platform, to post things, to respond, etc. And we were proposing maybe to spend 10-15 minutes with all of you so that you're familiar with how to use the platform easily, and you can easily post and add stuff and attach. And because we realize that some of the members may not be familiar with how to use it.
You want to do that now, Florence? Or?
Not necessarily now, no, but just to kind of agree that we would kind of find 15 minutes to do this, either individually with members, or we could do it as a group.
Yeah. I can
so that you can post directly and we don't have to post for you. I think Michael already knows too, but I think and I think Grace but it might be useful for others.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward once we go through it, and I can definitely help you, walk you through it, show you how to do it. So happy to help.
Okay. Thank you for that proposal. It will be great also to be able to know how to navigate through the platform.
Yeah.
So I don't know, do we need to come with a date right now? Proposal?
No, we can coordinate on WhatsApp. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Awesome. So any other business? Anything else? Anything?
No, yo solo, digamos, para rectificar,
Okay. Ujú.
compromisos. Entonces, en términos de comunicación, para que me compartan, por favor, los documentos ya actualizados de esta última reunión con los ajustes, en términos de la selección, ¿sí? Para yo poder tener ese acá y empezar a hacer todo el proceso de creación del documento para compartir. ¿Sí?
You mean the call? Or, Michael, just to clarify, you mean the call for applicants?
Sí, el de la convocatoria. Para que me lo compartan actualizado, yo tenerlo y poder, digamos, proseguir con ese trabajo. Y sería entonces también firmar, ¿sí? Los que ya quedamos seleccionados como coordinador, firmar el documento para pasarlo también para ello.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay. I didn't get the last bit of signing it off.
So the coordination team agreement, now that the coordination team
Okay,
members have
okay.
been selected,
Okay.
we'll make sure that the final version of the coordination team agreement is signed by the coordination team members.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else, members?
And members, so one of the things that I think is still maybe in need of further thinking and discussion is this question of the members who have not been active. Elvis has said he's had issues with his internet. I know Ruth has said she has issues with her, you know, in her life and other things, but it does, I still think it raises this question of the ability. It's really important beyond their own personal commitment. It's really important that the members of this team of the council are actually able to work and contribute. And so I think that's something for the members to think through. Because if not, the members who may be wanting to contribute but just cannot, you know, because of their workload or because of other reason, it would be in the council's interest that they allow other new members to come in if they're not able to do that, because as Michael and Grace have said right from the start, this council needs to be able to move forward with everybody's contribution. So I think you probably still, this issue is probably not entirely resolved yet.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Florence. And maybe we also need to, when drafting, I don't know, it's more of the policies that of how we'll be working, you know, for us to clearly state that, you know, when it is expected of you to do something and you've not communicated with someone, then that also can warrant, you know, you being removed from the council. It's not only attending the meetings, but you not taking up tasks you committed to do and you haven't communicated them way in advance. Yeah, we need to think through that, because also, like with the different tasks we have been given, you know, members received the documents, but the fact that we have communicated on WhatsApp, just send someone a message and say, apparently right now I'm not in a position, so can someone take it up, or I'll give my inputs when. Yeah, so communication is also key on that. And I think maybe we will think through that also with the coordinators team on how to go about it and share with the rest of the members, because it's warranting that, you know, when you're committed, yeah, you're committed actually, and then you're not participating in it, then yeah, it doesn't look good. Sure. Yeah. Any inputs, guys, as we finalize our call, because we are done with our agenda and we have some tasks to follow up with.
No, yo ninguna. Vamos que vamos a trabajar con todas.
Okay. Okay, also, thank you. I have my nephew with me who was a bit in the last minute trying to check through, and yeah, he'd missed me like I was on a call for quite some
Yay!
time. So I want to, I'm glad we've been able to go
So
through our
sweet.
agenda fully. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yay.
Say hi.
Bueno,
Hi.
una
How are
Okay.
you? Let me see if I can
chao,
do my little heart.
gracias.
It's not doing today.
Okay, bye. You
Have a good night.
evening. You too. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for being patient.
Thank you.